We're in the Jeep Rubicon 392 Wrangler Final Edition. Now there's an asterisk to that. This 2024 model is not technically the final edition. Jeep decided to renew 2025 model year to include these final edition models as well. I don't believe there are any updates to those 2025s, but they've extended the small allotment. For 2024, there's around, I want to say 3,700 or so Rubicon final editions. We don't know exactly how many there will be for 2025. All right, so 392, we have the 6.4 liter Hemi V8. That's what makes this vehicle so special. Yes, they pretty much added every single imaginable option to this Jeep Wrangler, and that's why it costs $108,000. We have the worn winch up front, and I apologize, the humidity down here in South Florida is brutal, so my poor camera is just trying to get through all the condensation. But this truck looks absolutely amazing at night as well during the day. Without the nighttime lights on, the circular daytime running lights look pretty fantastic. Gotta love the hood scoop to give that V8 some breath. Gotta love the Rubicon stickers. Next to it is the gold accented 392 stickers. I mean, this thing has all the flair and kit you could ask for. Massive 35-inch tires. It even has a larger lift kit than I think any production Jeep Wrangler. I think it's got an extra ½ inch or so of lift, which gives it, I want to say, over 12 inches of ground clearance. This thing's an absolute monster. We have, as we get closer, these sliders too, which kind of help as a step to get into the vehicle as well. My wife and I both really love this paint color. I'll go ahead and put it down below what it is. Of course, we have that beautiful rear tire off the back, and I have the roof open. So we're going to do this review with the roof open tonight. I'll go ahead and put the B-roll of the blinkers on there for you guys as well. And we're going to go ahead and get into the back here. Of course, recovery hook. We have a tow hitch receiver. Typical Jeep swing out. We have the tire inflator, you say air compressor. We have this little table here. It's pretty neat. Folds down. Let's flip this bad boy up. And a Jeep, I'm not expecting the best sound system, but this Alpine system does above and beyond what I was expecting. So well done there. And for 108K it should. So there's a controller on the right hand side for the worn winch. A little accessory power, of course, never hurt anyone, especially if you're out in the woods doing your camping. And let's go ahead, of course you can fold the rear seats down, which didn't do. I actually used the rear seats for my children. We got some Dunkin' Donuts one morning, and that closes that up. Let's get in the back seat, see if there's any illumination back here. Well, we have these nice dome lights when you get into the vehicle, but this thing is not going to be the most glitz and glam for ambient lighting or anything. Window controls back here. We also have the vents back here, but it's dark. All right, luckily we got the roof that's open, that's going to shed light into the rear cabin if you need it. So in terms of the interior, yes, it's fantastic. We got this nice stitching, and you pull that tab, this comes down, more cup holders, a little phone holder or something. Yeah, so it's kind of like a secret armrest. My kids would never find it because this thing requires a lot of force to pull that tab to get it to come down. All right, a little stitching there on the door handle as well. It is tough. I put my 4-year-old in here, and she sat in the back. She's like, oh, it's a small car. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of small. This is just kind of, the Jeep proportions, the big wheels. It's going to make, well, it made my kids think that this is going to be a massive vehicle on the inside. And it's, yeah, it's smaller than our minivan. All right. So stitching here on the door, no memory seats or anything like that for $100,000+, but we do have illumination on the door locks. We have electronic mirrors, leather seats here. The Rubicon 392 badging is really nice. These seats are comfortable. I'll give it to Jeep for that. We also have that gold stitching on the steering wheel here. It's pretty good overall. More of that gold stitching here on the dash, and a nice pattern to it. It's really, it feels nice. Kind of like this rubberized texture. Almost feels like putting my hand on a football or something. And then up top, nice stitching as well. No head-up display or anything. I'll be using this camera to collect information from here because this thing is fast as hell with the 470 horsepower Hemi V8 under the hood and standard 4x4. I want to say this is a 12-inch screen. Android Auto works great with it. I have my phone plugged into it right now. We have a unique 392 shifter here, and Jeep likes putting their, you know, special edition stuff on their shifter. So yep, there it goes, Rubicon 392. The rest of this is pretty standard Jeep affair, which is good because the volume knob, climate control, tuning, it's all pretty easy to use. I did have a snag setting the presets here, so if I go to, I don't know why No Mercy's playing this early in the morning, No Mercy for us. It was really difficult to set my presets, and I couldn't find a way to flip between them other than just touching them. So it was kind of a clunky experience for the presets for me. But I could be doing something wrong, so I'm just gonna leave Android Auto up for the video today. We do also have some accessories inside of this armrest area. Here's a controller for the worn winch. So I'm not quite sure what was in the bag in the back. I think that's where this controller is supposed to go, but it is illuminated in there, and my cup holder is slightly illuminated, which is pulling up on the camera as well. All right, so let's go and start driving the Rubicon 392 first final edition. I'm gonna go ahead and play that exhaust sound for you guys, where I was just sitting here idle. Unfortunately, it doesn't let me rev it as high as I like it to, but still, I mean, this V8 is why you buy this vehicle. It's why you spend $100K on this, because you're getting a muscle car, and you're getting a Jeep, and you're getting a convertible all in one. And up top, I do have the power convertible top. It's pretty fantastic where I live here in palm tree laden Naples, Florida. Splashing through the puddles is a thing of, it's just like the right sound you should be hearing. So I actually tried to hit the puddles in this truck. I brought my drag meter, but I forgot it on the counter, so I didn't actually bring it. So we're just gonna do a rough 0 to 60. This thing is supposed to be able to scoot to 60 in about 4 seconds, so the brakes aren't even holding it back. Okay, there's 60. I'll put on the screen the best to put down there. Yeah, we chirped the tires. We chirped the tires with the full-on brake boost there. And we do have the sport exhaust on, which makes this thing really come alive. I'm gonna roll up the rear windows real quick. Just know that I had the rear windows down because with the top scrunched all the way back, which means it's open, I do get quite a bit of like wind buffeting. So anyways, we're just gonna pedal down. And I don't think it's torque steer per se, but it's probably just due to it being a Wrangler and it being so high off the ground, and maybe it is torque steer, I don't know, but it does pull to the left when you give it the full-on beams, which, I don't know, it adds to the character of the vehicle. It's not a performance car, it's a muscle Jeep. It's a thing of beauty. It's so fast compared to any other Jeep, other than other 392s I've been in. But I'm gonna close the top here, and it is one button push, I'm pretty sure. I was holding it down earlier, but here it comes. That's just such a cool feature, because the top is enormous in here. Oh, now it's halfway quiet. You know, I don't mind the road noise isn't annoying to me. Now, I haven't taken it on the interstate going like 70 or anything. And this thing's fuel economy, yeah, you'll be lucky if you get 15. if you can't keep your foot out of the pedal, and that's one of the reasons you buy this thing, is you're probably going to get less than 15 miles per gallon. I don't get any creaks and rattles. You just get, you know, some tire noise. You get some wind noise, of course, with a soft top Jeep. Throw it in the turn. Don't ever feel comfortable about throwing a Jeep in a turn. It just keeps wandering off to the side. It almost feels like you're on ice. Oh, that's hilarious. But you're rewarded the second you just press the pedal a little bit. You hear that beautiful exhaust note. And you might be saying, Kirk, well, you have it on sport exhaust. It's not. I gotta wait a second, because there are cops that hide out on this bend from time to time, but I don't see them today. But it's loud as hell even without the sport exhaust on. It just doesn't idle as loud. I feel like, let's do that again. I feel like wide open throttle is equally loud between the two. It's just that it idles a lot louder at, well, the loudness of it is much higher at lower RPMs. All right. Let's go ahead and move the AC back up. I was getting quite a bit of fogging on the windshield, so I'll move the AC to my feet. Now let's talk about lights. This is a fairly dark portion. Well, when you turn on the brights, the fog lights turn off. So keep that in mind. Some people might hate that if you're out on the trail at night. I don't want automatic. It has automatic high beams on, and I don't know how to defeat that because I can't see in the cabin right now. The low beams are super bright, very good light uniformity, super bright right in front of the truck with those foggies. You put the high beams on, and well, again, I'm fighting the automatic high beam, so I'll just kind of pull it towards me. Yeah, it goes up pretty high. So well done, Jeep, with the lights, and it's what I'm expecting for a vehicle that's supposed to be in the wilderness, off-road with very little illumination on the road. So yeah, very, very nicely done, Jeep, with the lights. Very bright, very consistent. What is the brakes like in a Jeep that's this high off the ground? Well, they're actually pretty decent. I didn't talk about the transmission. I didn't even look it up, but it's got to be the 8-speed ZF automatic. That is lightning quick, super smooth, and it can be sporty when you want it to be, and also be pretty luxurious when you want it to be with softer shifts. For $108,000, you get heated seats, I believe, but not. You don't, yeah, here's a heated seat button and heated steering wheel, but you don't get ventilated seats. There's no perforation on these guys. Gosh. So you're going to be getting pretty sweaty in these, I would say, in the summertime. The seats themselves, they're a bit firm. I kind of feel like I'm sitting on top of them, but I don't feel uncomfortable by any means. We have I just noticed garage door openers here on the visor. It's kind of nice. Plastic on plastic, but it will be durable, I assume. Yeah, and just like the Gladiator reviewed a few weeks back, you gotta be on the steering on this thing. You can't space off. God forbid you're on your phone, because you're gonna be wandering all over the lanes and maybe even into the bike lane. So the steering on these things is just, it might be some of the worst I've ever tested, but it's a Jeep. You forgive it for that because of what it can do off-road. It's not an on-road machine. Well, this one is. This one's definitely, I would say this one's meant for on-road, but I'm sure someone out there with a ton of money is throwing the 392 in the trail. But I would be getting an older Wrangler and throwing that through the trail, and this would be my daily street drag racing beauty. Looking out over the hood is always a pleasure in a 392. You got the cool like hood decals on there, the 392 beat badges, and just the big hood bulge is always reminding you have one of the last vehicles from Stellantis. I'm just going to say Mopar or whatever, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep. It's, yeah, the naming, right? But it's one of Dodge's last vehicles with a V8. And yeah, I mean, the Challenger, I think, has already dropped it. I think the Charger still has it. if I remember right, but the Challenger, it's gone on since the Challenger is being replaced by the new Charger. But the new Charger is not, I don't think it's out yet. But within a year or so, the Charger is going to be fully electric, or Hurricane Inline 6, which that motor is unbelievable as well. It doesn't sound anywhere close to as good as this Hemi V8, and it can't really, due to its inline 6 nature, but it is, believe it or not, smoother than the V8s from Dodge, has more power and torque than the V8s from Dodge. That's not counting like the Hellcat supercharged engines, the 6.2 liter. I'm not counting those, but the naturally aspirated engines, the Hurricane engine, inline 6 twin turbo, is just leaves them in the dust in terms of torque, power throughout the rev range, and fuel economy. I think might be slightly better on the inline 6s too. So yeah, I can't wait to see or try more vehicles out with that Hurricane inline 6, because I was really impressed with it in 1500 tungsten Ram truck. Now, will this engine get replaced by that inline 6? I don't know. I mean, will Jeep just turn into a full plug-in hybrid? It's hard for me to say. I don't know what they're going to do with the Wrangler going forward. I think inline 6, 2-liter turbo with a plug-in hybrid, having those two powertrain options is probably the way they're going to go. But yeah, naturally aspirated V6, don't think that's going to be a thing. Turbocharged 4-cylinder non-plug-in hybrid, that could be a thing. Yes, I think manual transmission might be on the chopping block for Wranglers and Gladiators as well in the future. Yeah, this vehicle, do I think it's worth $100K? Probably not, because for $108K, there's another convertible I'd rather have, and that's the LC500 with a 5-liter V8 that sounds better than this. It's not as loud as this. It does sound better. You can rev it to the rev limiter and kind of hold it there. It has more pops, gurgles, claps with that exhaust on the LC500. So if you were talking about impractical $100,000 vehicles that are convertibles, I'd rather have the LC500. If that's not your jam, I could definitely see people shelling out this much money for a final edition Wrangler Rubicon that has the biggest V8 currently in the lineup. It's got tons of power. It's a muscle car mixed with a convertible, mixed with an off-roading Jeep Wrangler. So it's very unique, and that's why Dodge is like, or Jeep is like, hey, the demand was so high on this final edition, we're just going to give it a second final edition. I can't imagine how pissed the actual final edition people were who bought this vehicle the first go around. Can't believe how pissed off they would have been, because a lot of people buy these, special edition Jeeps for investments. And so if you're like, well, yeah, it's just one of 3,700, and then Jeep's like, no. What? There's so many people, we don't want to leave them out. Let's go ahead and just renew it for another model year for this final edition, and let's see how long we can keep the interest high. Maybe we'll do a 2026 model year final edition if there's enough interest for it. I don't know what Jeep's plan is, but I'm just happy I'm not one of the original final edition owners. I might take that back, because I wouldn't mind owning this vehicle, but shelling out $100+ for one of these, a lot of people will think it's really stupid. But I feel like I'm in something pretty exclusive here. I feel like I'm in something that, yes, there are cool Jeeps out there, and once you modify them, you can really express your individuality. The thing is, this truck's for someone who wants a fully kitted out Jeep but doesn't want to go through all the work of modifying it. If you modify it this final edition, or if you plan on modifying your Jeep, don't get this 392. Like, the final edition, and you modify it, it's going to lose any value that it might have been able to keep. So yeah, it's for those Jeep lovers, those American car lovers that want the V8, they want the Jeep experience. They want this open top experience, and they don't want to have to go through the hassle of aftermarket accessories. And also, those things are probably going to void your warranty maybe in some circumstances. Here it's like, I have everything I could want on a Jeep. I don't need 37-inch tires. I don't need a higher lift. I don't need to modify the fenders and all this stuff. I'm happy with this. I think this provides just about everything I could want out of a Jeep, especially with this glorious Hemi V8. So we'll finish this video once we get a green with the soundtrack of the 6.4 liter Hemi. I didn't expect it actually to stay in manual mode there, so no pops or gurgles with the downshifts with the paddle shifters, but it does sound nice as it decelerates. America.